On today's episode of the podcast, we're going to dig into this sport called football. All right, so here's the deal. Eagles. I had my doubts. I started thinking of all sorts of crazy segment ideas. Some of them had a lot to do with Jalen Hurts, and there were stats to back it up. And then the second half happened. So the Eagles find a way to win a game that almost no other team in the NFL could win. Is it our best win? We'll do best win, worst loss. I'll cover that. I'll cover Caleb's big day against Dallas, a little bit on Green Bay's loss to Cleveland. I have to talk about that Herbert throw. And don't forget, college folks, we love college ball. We love Saturdays. So Todd McShay loves Saturdays too. I'm starting with the Indiana Hoosiers. I've had this team's back. It's great that everybody is finally listening. This is a powerhouse out there in Bloomington. We'll do that in the other games. Texas Tech love. Life advice. What do you do with a 6-year-old that has a choice to make? This is the Ryen Russillo podcast presented by FanDuel, and the NFL is officially back. So if you're going to be in it with FanDuel. They've got the goods, futures, live betting, SGPs, that same game parlays, your way bets, all of it. The app's clean, it's fast, and yeah, when you win, you get paid instantly, which is nice because Sunday patience doesn't exist. So get your bets in, build something bold, and make every game feel bigger. Download the FanDuel app or head to FanDuel.com/Ryen, R-Y-E-N, to get started. The Ringer is committed to responsible gaming. Please visit rg-help.com to learn more about the resources and helplines available, and listen to the end of the episode for additional details. Must be 21 and older and present in select states or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Paid endorsement. Week 3, full transparency, a little out of it today. Had some stuff going on at home. I don't want to get too into it and share too much, but as a lot of you know, I had to watch the Giants in prime time last night. So it was rough over here. Only 2 more primetime Giants games, though. We've got a Thursday nighter, a Monday nighter, although there is a chance the NFL could flex them out again with the rules on flexing out games, the Sunday games. So only the Sunday games available to do that kind of thing. I kept turning it off. Yeah, after all the college ball, staying up late for Cal, USC, and then the full slate Sunday. A lot of fun stuff on Sunday. I was like, I don't know if I have it in me right now to watch this, but then I kept thinking, like, what if something cool happens? Maybe there's a Kansas City segment in here where it's like, geez, they're not really that good. You figure they were going to get that one. Although the first half, you're like, are you serious? This is the best you're going to do? And then on the Giants side, like, I like those guys in the front 7. What a waste. Neighbors usually does something cool. Andrew Thomas is back. And then, of course, Russell Wilson, Red Zone Russ. It's not great. He's 3 of 16 now in the red zone. They try to run it sometimes with him. Doesn't really work. So it feels like that Dallas game was a year ago already. So anyway, let's talk about the good stuff. The Eagles down 26-7 after a sack fumble to start the second half. Jared Verse, just a beast. Young, also a beast. So many guys in this Rams defense in the front that I like. So L.A., after the sack fumble by Verse, who's just a monster all day, 1 play later, 10-yard touchdown. And I'm looking at the halftime numbers. I'm thinking about Hurts. I'm thinking wild things about Hurts. I may even share a couple for you now. But total yards at the half was 212 to 34. Passing yards for the Rams, 97. -1 total passing yard for the Eagles offense. And then Philly, after the opening drive TD, 4 straight 3-and-outs, then the turnover. And third downs, it just felt like they had no chance whatsoever. Now, granted, I remember when I used to boo third and forever screen passes or draws when my favorite team was backed up to like their own 8 or 10 yard line. I'd be like, throw it to the sticks. What are we doing? Can't give these possessions away. I used to boo those decisions too. I don't do that anymore. It's been a long time. But the Philly fans are booing this offense. It just looks terrible. I mean, the 25 version of Saquon doesn't look anything like the 24 version of Saquon. He was hit behind the line of scrimmage on 4 of his 5 handoffs in the first half. No Lane Johnson, but I mean, come on. When you're talking about the best offensive line in the NFL, which is kind of how we talk about the Eagles in this roster in general, you're like, all right, well, he's awesome and it sucks that he's out, but figure it out. The other guys. Again, wild segment ideas that I was workshopping. Would the Eagles be better with Baker Mayfield? Would they be better with Geno Smith? You could probably say the way they're designed, Baker, although he gave it everything, I don't know how he would survive the tush push. And I think Geno being outside for an entire season playing in the Northeast, maybe not exactly the best fits. But yeah, I was letting these thoughts creep into my head. And then Hurts ended up doing something that I think fairly we've criticized, being like, well, you're in this perfect situation. Remember the QB tiers came out with Sando? It's like, you guys think 9 is too low? You're mad about 9 for this guy? And so, yeah, as I watched that first half, I'm like, they have these 2 stud receivers. They have this O-line. They've got Saquon, and they can't move the ball at all. Like, what is wrong with this team? And again, this is a team that we have massive, massive expectations for them coming off winning a Super Bowl. So when it looks bad, it's not just, hey, they had a bad week. Maybe that's Green Bay's excuse, but with Philadelphia, you're like, how can it look this bad? And then guess what? It didn't. The thing that I think Hurts detractors would say that he could not carry a team by just throwing the ball in the air. Well, he did exactly that, because on the last 4 drives, he went 16-23 for 206 yards, 3 touchdowns, including hitting Devontae Smith on the 4th and goal from the 4-yard line to cap a 17-play, 91-yard drive when you absolutely needed it. And maybe that's a bit, I don't like to compare anything really to Ben Simmons because I think he is his own entity. But the only time I ever saw him hit a jump shot on the baseline where I was like, hey, that kind of looked good, is because the shot clock was going down and he had no chance to think about anything other than just getting the shot off. And so I do think there's a lot of quarterbacks when you have no chance other than just trying to hit dudes all over the field. It's like, hey, you're getting your asses kicked. You have to throw the ball all over the place. I'm not comparing Jalen Hurts to Ben Simmons. I don't want to compare anyone to Ben Simmons, but you get the point, is that there are some quarterbacks when it's like, this is the only thing you can do now. You can't decide to not do these things because of the way you're designed and because of the defense. And more often than not, Philly's just going to line up with most teams and be like, we don't really have to do a ton of these stuffs. See the Kansas City game from just a week ago. So average depth of target charts doesn't matter. Time to throw stuff doesn't matter. It mattered when he needed to matter. And with his arm, he did just that. So then you have the defensive line part of this for Philadelphia, because it's not just Hurts. There's a 4th and 1 stop where Greg Olson's like, look, the Rams try to go for it on 4th and 1 at Philadelphia's 46 in the second half. No chance. Greg Olson, great on the call, great every single week. It's like, it's just a bad matchup. And then we saw that bad matchup play out again in a blocked field goal. And then the Rams changed their blocking personnel and Jordan Davis happened. And they blocked the game-winning attempt after Philadelphia had failed on 2-point conversion after the Smith touchdown. So looking to close it out where the Rams are like, I guess we're still going to get out of here with a win. Manageable field goal. Jordan Davis lines up with Carter over, I guess, the replacement on the Rams offensive line, blocks it, and then runs it back. And then we had this field goal block fest happening to close the 1 o'clock window for the NFL games yesterday. So the Rams are kind of left there thinking, like, how did we end up losing this game? We can for the Eagles, at least on a Monday, because now it's turning into the things that are wrong with them don't matter because they're going to pull some of these games out. And a lot of that stuff happened with Kansas City last year. Like, oh, well, why does this keep happening? Well, they're just built different. And again, when you have the quarterback, it feels like you have this advantage in those spots. I don't know if the Eagles necessarily have that right now. I mean, there's some stuff that just seems weird. We've already covered the Hurts part of it. Saquon, a career low 3.5 yards or 3.3 yards per carry. 3.9 yards per reception. It was 8.4 last year for Saquon. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are 41st and 46th in targets among pass catchers in the NFL. But on a Monday where they pull out another game and their defensive line that they've invested so much draft capital in shows up in a big way and the Eagles remain undefeated. Sunday should also be known as the Herbert throw day. The Chargers somehow down 20-13 to the Broncos at home. A Denver team, well, how are they in this game? Probably because Nick Bonito, also Surtain, and then basically a 4th and 2 bust for 52 yards to Court Sutton. Then the J.K. Dobbins revenge series. Denver was 2 of 13 on third downs. They're now 27th in the NFL on third down conversions. So at no point, despite Bo Nix's really nice rookie year, he just never going to, I don't know what he ultimately becomes, but this version does not scare me whatsoever. And then you're looking at Herbert, who's getting a ton of pressure thrown at him. I believe it's the highest pressure rate he's ever faced in his NFL career. But with all of this going on, you're like, how the hell are the Chargers losing this game? Again, it was that Dobbins series and the one big bust that they had. So with 2:37 left, down 7, 2nd and 6 at the Broncos 20, this is the Herbert throw. This is one of the best throws you'll see from a quarterback, considering everything that's happening around him, the stake of the game at that time. There's going to be stuff that maybe means more later on in the season. But to take you through what happens here, Tafanga beats his matchup in the pass rush. So he's all over the place, just flying around all day long. SC guy who played for San Francisco for a bunch of years. So he wins his pass rush matchup on the left side. So Herbert's right. So now Herbert's going to kind of avoid that. And then in the middle of all this stuff is big old Zach Allen, who gets an arm on him, and Herbert's able to get away from that and has to shift over to his left. And he's trying to figure out how to get this throw off because there's no way he's going to be set up. There's no on-platform thing here for Herbert whatsoever with this chaos around him. And then Benito, who's turning into one of the best defensive players in the entire league, gets like a contest on a three-point shot on the shooting arm of Herbert, which would be his throwing arm, where he has to kind of get around this contest and get sideways. His whole body is like contorted. And he throws a 20-yard touchdown to Keenan Allen to tie this game up. And that's why we exist. This is why the Herbert defenders exist, because of this kind of throw. Now, Trent Green, during the broadcast, said he thinks he's the best quarterback in the NFL. That's aggressive. But that throw is why we meet every week. That throw is why we defend him. We're not hipsters. We are people that appreciate beauty, because that is one of the all-timers. And then when they needed it again, they get the ball back, game-winning field goal. They go 43 yards. Herbert's 4-4 on that series. Ball game. Best win is still probably Philadelphia. Worst loss, it could also be Los Angeles, considering what was going on in that game. Atlanta losing 30-0 at Carolina seems like not a great time. It could have been the Bucs, maybe, to a Jets team that they felt like they were better than most days, or excuse me, at least on this day. Will McDonald, who we love on this podcast, another guy who blocks the field goal and then returns it a touchdown. So all this stuff was happening at the same time, including the block game-winning field goal attempt by Green Bay. But you know what? We can't say that about Tampa because, one, they won, and this is what they do. They've now won their 3 games with 59 seconds left on the game clock, 6 seconds left on the game clock, and then as time expires this past week. So Green Bay, Cleveland, they're up 3-zip with 3:23 left in the third quarter, and then they score a touchdown to go up 10-0. And as I'm watching this game, and this is one of the main focus, because you're kind of like, what's going on in this game? What's going on in this game? Again, we all have our priorities. You're not going to sit there and watch every single snap with as much detail as the stuff that you're focused on. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, this game will get sorted out. Like, this isn't really going to happen, is it? Third down. Green Bay could go up another score here. It's 3rd and 3 at the 25 with 3:18 left. And Love throws a pick where it's so bad. I was going through some of the presser stuff, so I wasn't able to find it. But Wicks has to sit down on that. It had to. That's the only explanation for how bad, considering game situation. It's one thing if it's like 4th down and you're down and you're like, hey, I just got to kind of throw it, because you see that happen. We saw that happen in the Dallas and Chicago game as well. But on this throw, it's low. There's defenders everywhere. Wicks is still running the route. So I don't know if that was all on Love, even though after scoring only 10 points and losing to Cleveland. But there's a lot of stuff that happened in this game. And it's worth noting here that Cleveland now, under Stefanski since he took over in 2020, is 13-5 at home against teams with a winning record, which is right there with Buffalo at 10-3 and Kansas City at 12-4. So those 3 teams, best records at home against other teams with a winning record, and it's Cleveland of all places. Anyway, so I don't know that that's the worst loss for Green Bay. It is obviously very surprising when it's a battle the entire time. You can't just go into pass rush mode like they've been able to the first 2 weeks. Cleveland didn't do anything offensively necessarily, so it's not like you're getting on Green Bay's defense whatsoever. But even having said all that, Atlanta losing 30-0 to Carolina is the worst loss. Let's talk about numbers. Mason Graham. Speaking of Cleveland and some trades here, he had a 43% pass rush win rate, which is an insane number. Defensive tackles usually average about a 9% pass rush win rate. He was at 43%. So when you had the draft day trade grades, when Cleveland moved out of the pick for Travis Hunter, Jacksonville getting A's across the board, Cleveland getting boring C's, well, they're probably very happy with Mason Graham, as it looks like Hunter's already transitioning to defensive back, if you look at the snap count stuff. But yeah, I mean, some of this Travis Hunter stuff feels a little bit early. But yeah, if you're trading up for somebody that's this dynamic and can change the culture of an entire society, you'd probably like to see a few more catches in there somewhere. So a little too early on that, at least, though, with Graham just having a spectacular day. Another number, Yaya Diaby. I guess it's not just Houston and their offensive line, although that wasn't a great game for them either. 11 pressures yesterday on 30 pass rushes. 11 the most since week 8 of 24. And let's talk Caleb Williams to close this one out. 4 touchdowns yesterday, all thrown 10-plus yards past the line of scrimmage, including the flea flicker to Luther, which traveled 62.3 air yards, the longest completion on the season so far. We also had a hang time of 5.1 seconds on that pitch back by Swift. By the way, Bears fans, Swift is an interesting player, huh? I think I'll just leave it at that. So there's a couple different Caleb discussions. He looked great yesterday. He looked great. It also looks like Dallas, after allowing 450 yards to Russell Wilson through the air just a week ago, it seems like Dallas has kind of a culture defensively where it's like, hey, if you just get kind of bored covering somebody, don't even worry about it. Like, we get it. It's 3+ hours commercials. Takes forever. You miss a few. I mean, guys are wide open all day long. But look, at least Caleb's hitting wide open guys as opposed to the opening week, accuracy issues that you saw against Minnesota. So I'll admit, because of the Wilson 450 against this Dallas team, there were shades of like Cam Newton week 2 with New England, when he threw for 397 yards against Seattle. And it's like, Bill did it again. Belichick playing he's just in a different league. And then you realize like Seattle had one of the worst secondaries historically. I don't know where they finished out the rest of the season, but the first half of that season, there was a stretch where it's like, do you realize how bad the secondary is for Seattle? And guess what? Cam Newton was not the savior, and it didn't work out. Maybe some Kevin Cobb stuff in there, although that was concussions. That's my guy. Everybody knows that. Matt Flynn, week 17 of the 2011 season, technically a 2012 game at the beginning of the year when he went for 1,000,000 yards against Detroit. Detroit wasn't a great defense that year either. But none of that really matters. Because look, it's fair to bring up. I thought it yesterday too. Was like, how excited do I want to get about this? Do I want to, if we're going to rank stuff here, potentially rank the 24 draft class all over again? It's like, how many times are we still going to do this? Maybe 1,000,000 times. Because if you run through it, at least today, Daniel's hurt. Drake May, good's good. Decent amount of bad in there too. Penix, that was rough yesterday. Rough. Bo Nix, already at his ceiling. JJ McCarthy hurt again. Could the guy that was thought to be potentially behind all of these other quarterbacks still be in contention to ultimately end up being the best pick, as he was picked ahead of all of them? Again, that's just a segment that's under construction. That's not, I shouldn't even have done that. I'm not unveiling it. I'm just telling you, I'm thinking about it a lot. The Ryen Russillo podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is changing the way you live bet football, and it starts with Next Drive SGPs. Now you can bet what's happening on the next drive. Will it end in a touchdown, a punt, a field goal? then see the player stats you need, stack in player props, and build your bet exactly how you want it. And every NFL game day comes with a profit boost you can use on your next drive SGP, so you can get more out of every play. Whether you're betting a drive, a player, or the next big moment, FanDuel makes live betting feel smarter, faster, and way more fun. Visit FanDuel.com/Ryen, RYEN, to download the app today and bet the next drive your way. Must be 21 and older and present in select states, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and the max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. This episode is brought to you by Little Caesars, the official pizza sponsor of the NFL. At Little Caesars, the pizzas are always large, so you'll always get more bite for less buck on game day. I remember my first experience with Little Caesars. I was like, so we're getting pizzas, right? And the guys were like, not just pizzas, we're getting all of the other stuff. You're like what? You've never had the bread that goes with it and the dipping sauces? And I'm like, so I'm kind of getting a version of pizza that isn't pizza that I get to eat before I eat my pizza. That was the first day of the rest of my life. And knowing that people are coming over, hey, what kind of pizza want? Oh, what do you want? Oh, I don't want. All right, how about we also do this little thing over here with all that nice, warm marinara as you get ready to make your pizza decision. That's why Little Caesars and the experience I've had, the history I've had with that experience, is something I will cherish the rest of my life. Right now, you can get 15% off orders over $15 on NFL game days with code GAMEDAY. Order now at littlecaesars.com or in the Little Caesars app. Offer ends February 8th, 2026. Offer good at participating Little Caesars stores on app and online orders, excluding third-party online sites with an online purchase of $15 or more. Only available on NFL game days. Enter promo code at checkout to get 15% off your order online. Max discount $5. Limit 1 per person per day. Cannot be combined with any other offers, plus tax where applicable. Prices may vary. Delivery available from participating locations with online orders only. Copyright 2025 LCE Incorporated. Let's do it. Let's get into some college ball. It wasn't the most loaded slate, but I think some really good stuff as far as the storyline. Todd McShay joining us now on the McShay Show, Ringer podcast. It's been great now in his second season here with the company. I want to start with Indiana. I mean, we could start with Miami jumping up to number 2 in the AP, which they fully deserve. We'll get to Miami second. But look, anyone that's listening to this pod understands my history, and it has nothing to do with the Hoosiers in particular. It's last year, and getting into the playoff. Everybody's heard this before, so I'll just stop. But I didn't know what to expect with that Illinois game. Illinois, like a lot of teams throughout the country, you win a nice bowl game like they did against South Carolina. They come back with Altmaier, who started the season, looked, I thought, even better. At least they'd played another Power 4 in a non-conference game at Duke. So I always try to give a program a little bit of credit for that, even if that was like a shaky start. And Duke looks even worse than, with the hype that they had going in from the summer, worse than people would expect. So in this game, you're like, you should have known probably the Vegas is like, why isn't this 2.5, 3.5? It's 6.5. Yeah. They must really like Indiana. And that was like the first sign. But I just thought it was like a ton of points. And then Indiana comes out and beats the shit out of them. So I know the first thing that happens, which I kind of can't stand, is like, well, Illinois wasn't really that good. Who knows? Maybe Illinois fought. But like to finally beat a team that's ranked and the perception of like in a big spot, let's see how they respond with new personnel, new quarterback. That was, I think, about as impressive as anything. It was
different, wasn't it? Yeah, it was just different.
Like Cooper and Surratt and the defensive lineman, and then Mendoza on some big spots where it's like, this guy's totally calm. So yes, like I feel different about Indiana finally beating, even if Illinois is a fraud, it was such a humiliating destruction of another opponent that we think is going to be okay in the Big Ten, that has a lot of good teams here, kind of at the top and in the middle. Your take from that game and what you thought going in versus what we think now.
I feel like I was one of the people leading the charge last year. Like, Indiana's really good. It's one of the best coached football teams in the entire country. But there's a ceiling, and the ceiling's lower than people want to think. And this is not a college football playoff caliber program right now. And when you looked at like the SEC,
you're talking
last
year,
like Ole Miss and South Carolina, like I'm like, get them on the same field, see what happens. This year, it's totally different.
Okay,
like
why?
that offensive line is better. The defensive front is better. And they lost was CJ West to the NFL, but they're better. They're deeper. They sacked Illinois 7 times in that game. It felt like they were in the backfield the whole game. And offensively, they've got a quarterback, and Mendoza hasn't done much of the running thing, and he's going to need to as the schedule gets tougher. But just the mere fact that, unlike Curtis Rourke last year, Curtis Rourke would do that RPO stuff, and it's like, yeah, go ahead, tuck it and run. See how far you get. Mendoza can actually run, and we'll see that as the season progresses. But he is so damn efficient with this RPO thing, man. And I do question, and I want to see his development over the course of the year. Like, if that first look isn't open, I think he starts to get a little panicky. I think his feet don't always come with his eyes and all that. But there's a reason why Cignetti wouldn't let him go to the Manning Passing Academy this summer. There's a reason why he had to be around and like drilling him day in and day out, even when Cignetti couldn't be with him, like working on our system, what we do. And we're seeing that efficiency. And you talked about the receivers. I thought the receiver group for Indiana was one of the most underrated groups in all of college football last year. And I think this year it's kind of the same. We see
those guys were there last year too. So it's not like
right. And we see the Texases and the Georgia's improvement at wide receiver. We see especially Ohio State, Alabama. We see those programs, right? And I'm not saying they don't have NFL caliber guys, although Surratt is going to be like probably a 3rd round pick somewhere in that range. But those receivers play that system so well, and they're fearless over the middle.
They're
and
nasty.
They catch
physical,
everything.
They're looking to hit you towards the sideline. That was always the thing that I loved.
6'1", 6'2", 6'3". Yes. And then the running back position, you got Kalen Black, averaged almost 9 yards per carry in this last game. Black and Roman Hemby, 2 dudes. And then Kobe Martin winds up with 107 rushing yards. So they're like rotating guys and staying fresh. I don't know, man. Like, I look at that schedule for Indiana, and I just watched a lot of tape on Oregon's offense and Dante Moore. And I watched a lot of tape on Penn State's offense and Drew Aller. I think they can pull out a win against one of those 2 teams. Like, I think they're that good. I think they're that efficient. And even if they don't, and they're a 2-loss team, and I think they're one of the 12 best teams. I was glad to see the AP put them at 9 this week, 11. 9 or 10. Was it 11? Okay, whatever it was. But I think people hopefully are realizing that this is different than a year ago.
Yeah, and I think I just get tired of like every time a ranked team loses, and like, did we think Illinois was really the 9th best team in the country? Probably not. But like, to this thing go like this game that fans want to play, that how late in the season can you go with dismissing everything a team has done? And I was that way about them last year, because it's like, hey, look, in the one game that it mattered, I thought they got their asses handed to them, and I thought they ran clock to try to make the score. Right? Yeah, the Ohio State game, they ran clock to make it look better at the end, kind of understanding like, if this score looks maybe a little bit better, we're 11-1, then we're kind of into the playoff. And I'm like, that's the opposite of everything that Cignetti says about his program. And look, he let Illinois have it too after the game too. He's just like, yeah, we took their soul. And it's like, wait, what did you think? Wait, did you watch the Duke tape? He's like, Duke was getting to these guys. Like, so we knew we were going to get to those guys. And I think that's the crazy thing, because when West is gone, you're like, all right, they're just going to cycle through a bunch of dudes again. And Tucker's a beast. That sophomore that's been there, I forget his name now.
Kamara's a player. I mean, they've got dudes.
Yeah. So I have way more hope. I don't know what I'm going to do. Am I going to have the balls to pick them against Penn State? I might.
We'll see. Let's see where they are, because that one's late. They play Oregon as their next, and then later in the season's Penn State, right? Or am I wrong?
No, you're right. But like, it's the tricky one here is there's some sort of letdown with the home crowd jumping up in the AP, the carryover from next year, and like playing Iowa, where that game just feels like it's going to be a grind at their place emotionally, like the emotional week to week dips that you have with college teams? Or is it like, hey, you're talking yourself into something here again? Where like, did you see the Illinois game? Like,
Right.
do you really expect Iowa's going to keep pace with what Indiana can do there? So you're right. They have Oregon. It's right after the Iowa game, and then
Right.
Penn State is late November, right? Or mid-November.
Mid-November, yeah.
Okay. Let's talk Miami, number 2 team in the country. This team was undone by its defense last year. So Cam Ward kind of carrying them. The tackling or the lack of tackling against Georgia Tech, the disaster against Syracuse at the end. And, we can talk about Carson Beck being a little bit cleaner, although momentum-wise, that was a tough interception to throw after Florida had finally scored. But this defense is disgusting.
What is it? The Broyles Award for the Assistant of the Year? Like, I don't know if it's Will Stein. I don't know. But Corey Heatherman, what he has done. And I just like, when I saw this, I didn't know a ton about Heatherman. Okay. I wasn't like studying Europe football. I wasn't studying like UMass, wherever he was. I didn't like have a real good beat on Maine's defense or Old Dominion. And I knew that he was kind of rising up the ranks at Minnesota. But then I like really looked at his backdrop, like a Western Mass guy, like a lifer kind of grinding it out. But it's discipline. It's freeing guys up to play fast, but to play like violent, but also to play within the constructs. And I was like, oh man, even before the season started, I was like, I think there could be something to this fit. And to see how fast he's letting them play, but more importantly, like the tape don't lie, right? That's the phrase ever. It doesn't lie, man. Like if you want to know the buy-in of a defense, pause the coach's copy tape when the whistle's blown. And look in that screen, whether it's tight screen or wide screen, and tell me how many defenders are there. I'm talking 6, 7, 8 every fucking time Miami makes a tackle. They rally to the football as well as any defense in the country. And this is a defense that just didn't have that buy-in a year ago. One man has come in with, yes, better level of talent, but like, is it that much better? And has made them play fast and play hard. And when they arrive, the violence that they hit with. And Ruben Bain, I'm not saying he's going to be a top 10 pick, but he's playing like a top 10 draft pick so far this year. And he's playing with power and he's playing with motor. And I watched like Torrey at linebacker, Messidor along the defensive line with 2.5 sacks leading the team.
I think Messidor and Bain combined for 20 plus QB pressures in the game against Florida.
Like it's just insane. And Blay and like they've just got dudes who are playing at a high level. And so like I look around the country and like LSU's different because their defense is better. Now, can the offense, which is kind of the surprising, can the offense catch up? Michigan's defense is different. People didn't realize coming in the year, except NFL scouts. When I looked at like preseason, like the national and Blesto list, and looked at all the defensive fronts across the country, Michigan had more guys in their defensive front 7 with high grades, like first, second, third round, than any other defense in the country. And so like when you look at programs that are built to last this season, I'm looking at LSU, I'm looking at Miami, I'm looking at Michigan, even with a young quarterback, like, will continue to get better. Ohio State, like those are the programs. Georgia, even though they're not elite and they showed a lot of flaws against Tennessee, like they're going to keep getting better. So that to me is telling. And Miami, I knew they'd be better. I didn't think they'd be at that level. And Carson Beck has exceeded expectations, even though it was not his best game this past week. This team's scary.
Then they get the week off and they're going to be at Florida State, and Florida State Miami is going to feel like it's supposed to feel.
Yeah, like I'm in the basement at Todd Klein's house, Portnoy's basement, like watching the Florida State Miami, and like everything in the world's on the line. 3:30, Keith Jackson. Like it's going to feel like that, right? Like when our childhood. And I know there's been a couple times in like the last decade where like the build up and the hype and all that, but we're all in the back of our heads. We're like, it's not there yet. This is going to feel, we know Miami is, it's going to be telling for Florida State.
That game felt like a shift from it's the Beck storyline. It's taking care of Notre Dame, which, Notre Dame getting right this week. There's even a Notre Dame defensive conversation. And I know, look, every team's
big time.
Yeah. But that's not to say, well, Miami put up numbers against this Notre Dame defense. And now we realize I am not actually doing that. I think South Florida beating Florida helped Miami probably focus and lock in on that a little bit. And then this Florida team comes in and, the injury issues are more on the defensive line. So you're like, are they going to get just rolled here? And they hang in this game. And for it to be
unbelievable effort by Florida's defense. Florida's defense deserves so much better than it's.
But it's the violence. It's those short third and fourths where you're going, even if Lagway completes this, he may lose a receiver for the rest of the year.
Yes.
And there were plays you could see, and it's like Lagway makes a completion, and you're like, he caught it, and now is this guy going to be out for 4 weeks once everybody from Miami is flying to the football? So oddly, like the game that momentum-wise, you're like, is this going to be some rivalry game and throw the records out and the injuries aren't going to matter? There was this window of this game being like, this is a game, because forget what the score was. It was complete domination. It didn't look like Florida was ever going to consistently move the football in this thing, and yet they get the ball down 6.
Yeah.
And you're going, this is going to be like a weird SEC conversation here with Miami. But then after Florida State, it's Louisville, it's Stanford, it's SMU, who's, I still think decent. Q's pretty good offense. But now they have the quarterback thing. So, the rest of the way, if Miami gets this, it'd be impossible to think that they're not going to be in the playoffs.
Well, we always talk about the quarterbacks in college football, and understandably so. And we always talk about the high. We get enamored by the high power offenses. But if you go back and look at like the history of like national champions and like the best programs, even like the quote unquote dynasties or like the teams of that era, whether it's going back like the Alabamas, the Georgias, the Ohio States, like Ohio State last year, that was defense, man. Like, they had they had Chip Kelly and they had the two-headed monster, but it's like, it's not really historically about the team with the best quarterback. That's like the Heisman and that's a lot of flash. It's the best, like the USC run, the Alabama run, the Georgia run. And most importantly for this conversation, the Miami run. When you think back to those defenses and the Warren Sapps and the Sean Taylors and it was about defense for Florida State, Miami. Miami never had great quarterbacks, Kozar, but it was the defense that was violent. And then they had a few big time playmakers at receiver and they had great running backs. But that's when watching this, the last couple of weeks of Miami's defense, and I don't do the "you is back" shit. Like I'm just not here for that. I'm just not. Like I can't stand
We've done it a
that.
few times. I think there was a Ja'Cory Harris game once,
like walking through ESPN with like the stats and info guys and like producers walking around. The "you's back." Is they back? Let's have a conversation. Let's have a segment about is the "you back?" Like, stop. Makes me cringe.
A lot of teams have been announced that they're back that were, in fact, not back. But whatever this defense is, I do love the point there, though. It shifted from the Beck keeping this thing moving.
Yes.
We knew week one, the receiver drop-off of production is totally not an issue. I don't even think about it anymore. You're like, hey, they lost their 6, 7, guys in total pass production, as far as the receiving side of things.
Yeah.
This defense is so scary. It's like a scary defense, and it's a moist Miami night, and you're just like, oh. Anyway, the game I was probably looking most forward to was Utah at home against Texas Tech. And so there's a couple different things to do here. Baron Morton, who's been pretty good, and this was a turnover fest. It was an ugly game early. I don't know if it's because it's a 10 a.m. local time start for it, but you've got turnovers all over the place. Tech felt like the better team. this is another team that feels like defensively they can rely on that side of the football. They haven't given up more than 14 points in any of their 4 games. They only give up 10 to Utah. But Morton gets knocked out. He get dinged up early. Then you saw his head hit on the concussion. Then Will Hammond comes in, who's actually a big-time recruit. I mean, he's not the overall guy, but I think, what was he? He was 14th in that Lagway Riola class. He's a 4-star kid, bunch of different offers. He
led the state of Texas in passing his senior year, all of it. Yeah.
I do feel like there's like 1,000 kids, though, that I've heard at some point had led the state of Texas in passing.
Yeah, but oftentimes they're Colt McCoy and they're Matthew Stafford and they're Baker Mayfield and they're Kyler Murray and they're Johnny Football. Like, yeah, I know what you're saying. And I questioned Texas high school football for a while. Like, is it overrated?
I'm not even doing that. I'm just wondering, is it broken every single year, this record, this all-time yardage Texas record? Or
I don't even know if it was the record. I just think he led the state of Texas his senior year. But let's not digress.
I know more about Westlake than I've ever known about a place I've never been to. So there you go. And then Drew Brees, I think, was maybe one too.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Westlake, another Westlake kid. All right. So
is that where Hammond's from?
Probably. I don't know. Are there 7 Westlakes in Texas? Because I feel
there's an East Lake. I think there's a Silver Lake. There's a bunch of lakes.
Hold on. If it ends
Silver
up,
Lake.
No, he's Hutto.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't even know. Hutto?
Can I advance this conversation for a second?
Take it wherever you want, because I also think there's a very important Utah part of this too. So go ahead.
I just want to say this. I wouldn't want to be Joey McGuire right now and having to make this decision as the head coach. Because, and it's maybe, and I don't get the sense it is a decision, so I feel like I'm maybe like stirring up controversy. Like that offense with Baron Morton, who, by the way, I just want people to understand, NFL scouts are like, he may be a day 3 pick. There's a lot of so he's talented. He's a 5th-year guy. He's done, he's well-traveled. He's grinded it out. He's a team guy. He's a leader. He was injured during camp and came back but what happened when he was injured during camp was this Will Hammond cat was taking first team reps. And Will Hammond got to start a game last year and finish a game and played pretty well. And Will Hammond has gotten better and better. And the players on the team have recognized, this guy's talented. We believe in him if he's got to come in and play. Then he comes in and plays. And it's like, yeah, here we go. I thought in that moment, they had he comes in, it was like let's run a quarterback draw. Let's get him into the game. 30 yards, bang. I thought when Utah scored that touchdown, it was like I started watching the clock because I had already bought into Texas Tech before this. And I'm like, of course, they're going to have an injury and this backup quarterback's going to come in and they're going to play not to lose and all that. They actually put it on, they put their foot down the accelerator more, man, which tells you how much they believe in him. And I saw that offense open up. You got to remember, this is a defensive struggle. And Morton was not playing great. And Morton underthrew 2 receivers and threw 2 interceptions. And then you got this Hammond kid who comes in, and it's different.
The first pick was tipped, but it was also tipped because it was underthrown.
Yeah.
So it was like a go route. And I don't even know if you can say, hey, that's back shoulder because the corner has it completely sealed off. So it's tipped, but not like off the receiver's hands. It's on the back of the defensive back. So at that point with Morton, I'm like, well, he actually deserves a little bit of blame for that. And the second pick's just, the receiver sealed off in the end zone. He didn't need that in that spot. But I mean, it was just, everybody was turning the ball over like crazy. And we'll get to Dampier on Utah's side of this. But you're totally right. It felt like there was a little bit more juice to an offense, which, Morton apparently was in the locker room celebrating after the fact. So that's a great sign. And
so he's probably going to be ready. But Belichick had a tough decision to make.
I don't know.
Belichick had a tough decision to make with Bledsoe and Brady, right? And I'm not trying to I feel like I'm creating controversy.
But it's not about the 2 picks. I don't think it's about the 2 picks.
No,
in this game.
It's about what this offense looked like with Hammond versus, and I wouldn't care all that much if the baseline and the foundation of this conversation wasn't, holy shit, Texas Tech is really one of the 10 best teams in college football right now. That defensive line is serious. That defense as a whole got after Utah's ass at 10 a.m. local time kickoff. That offense comes out and they've got weapons. They've got this Jacoby Williams, who's the number 2 running back, who's a receiver as well. They've got this Cameron Dickey kid. They've got a 2-headed monster at that running back spot. They've got Terrence Carter, who, like, I got to get to know a little bit more. I got to know what this guy's about, because he looks like he can stretch the seam. 17 catches at the tight end spot. Coy Eakin, Caleb Douglas, who's averaging over 20 yards per catch. They've got dudes. And I know that Matador, the Red Matador Club, put in a lot of money for this year. And this window is tight. And now I've got a young quarterback who might be better and open things up more than my 5th-year guy that, like, I believe in and is our program's found. Like, is a program guy. That's a tough thing to navigate as a head coach.
There's a couple other games I want to get to before we have to let you go. So I'll just say, Dampier, that was from where it started.
Yes.
That wasn't the UCLA game, man. He was terrible in that game. And there's a lot of, like,
and he's got 2 first-round offensive tackles.
Yeah, and for the 2 tackles, and I understand you could say, like, hey, against that D-line, but if you're talking about these tackles, and that was the matchup we're all anticipating, they didn't run the ball consistently, 3 yards per carry the whole time. And Dampier just has some throws. You're like, dude, what are you? Is it boredom? Like, let me see if this works, maybe. You know, some real, like,
is it boredom?
Yeah, because Raiola, who we've talked about, and, you know, that's a game that goes back and forth. And the Raiola throw on the touchdown where he's leading the receiver left to right that turns into the end zone, and he flips it just off of his hip. You're like, okay, well, that's the throw that everybody falls in love with this guy. But he also has some throws you're like, are you too calm?
Old bad habits die hard, don't they?
Yeah. So lost in this. I don't want this to get lost in this. I just hope you lock in. I know he's only a sophomore. Number 90, defensive end, John Henry Daly for Utah. Just put him on the awareness. Did you notice? Because I was afraid. I almost texted you to be like, hey, even though Tech is putting it on Utah right now, I don't want your draft evaluation part of your thing to suffer.
Skewed.
Just make sure you're still paying attention.
No, that's why you're my college scouting director.
Right.
There's no stone unturned with you.
So you've said Indiana's a top 10 team. You've said Tech is a top 10 team. Who are you putting them over then if you were voting? Like, do you think both those teams are better than A&M? Do you think both those teams are better than Florida State, Oklahoma?
No. Mensch gives me shit about this all the time. I have like 14 teams in my top 12 or
like
15
Vital
every
on
week.
Selection Sunday?
A little bit. But go ahead. You got the AP pulled up?
Yeah.
All right. Go through it.
Ohio State 1, Miami 2, Penn State 3, LSU 4, Georgia 5.
Yep.
6 through 10, Oregon, Oklahoma, Florida State, A&M, Texas, Indiana is 11. Texas Tech is 12.
I'd put Texas Tech and Indiana after this week ahead of Texas right now. So I'd have them, 10, 11?
Yeah.
And then
you wouldn't put Texas. Tech over A&M?
I might. I think we'll find out, but I might. Depends on who's the quarterback.
Yeah, because I know exactly what you're saying, because there was a little bit more juice to it. But, like, Morton has put up some really nice numbers and looks like they have the defense to go with it here for Tech. So anything that you think is big picture that you took from Oklahoma's win in the Jackson Arnold redemption? I don't really understand Sooners fans booing that guy.
There isn't a quarterback in the country who with their 5 best wide receivers out and that horrific offensive line a year ago, they could have had success. So you can bleep off if you're booing him. And that was an emotional game for him. And I thought he played his ass off. He wasn't perfect, but you could tell how much that game meant to him by what he poured into it. My takeaway is Oklahoma may not be one of the 5-6 best teams in the country, but they're certainly, when it's all said and done, they're going to be one of the 15. And I kind of hope they're one of the 12 standing at the end, because that defense is legit. They got a kicker, which I know who wants to talk about a kicker, but that UTEP transfer can kick. And that was a massive hole last year. And talking to Jim Nagy, who's now their general manager, that was a big get for them. And so you've kind of shored up your special teams to a certain degree. The defense is actually legit. When R. Mason Thomas came back in that game, the second half with fresh legs, it was almost like, yeah, fine, suspend me for the first half. I'm going to be even like more fresh and violent and dominant in the second half. You're doing me a favor. And that last drive, when they like the thing with defenses is like when you have an offense that's capable and a quarterback like that, you're going to be in a lot of situations where you need closers. And that, like, look at the 3 pressures on that last drive. That's when I was like, this Oklahoma defense is real. And Mateer didn't have his best game. But I promise you, if you were to give me a draft of every college football quarterback in the country right now, I'm taking Mateer for this season over every one of them. And especially fourth quarter tight game. And I'm doing it recognizing he's capable of screwing it up, like with the aggressive mistakes. But if I need a drive, I'm like, watch how composed he was and how in control he was. That 30-yard catch along the sideline for the first down, they had to replay and they overturned it. There was a catch. What a ball. And then just carrying, he's like, I got this 9-yard touchdown run. Like, he's different, man. He's wired different. I think he's special. I'm fighting myself against getting overly excited and putting him in the first round. But I'm not betting against this cat. I just, he's got something that's different and special about him that you don't see very often. So I think Oklahoma's that Red River game. Like right now, Oklahoma's the better football team. Texas probably has a little bit more talent and depth. But you give me Mateer versus what we've seen from Arch, and I know Arch had a great game this past week, and he's excited and he's pushing coaches and he's stepping on it. And I'm glad he's getting it all out emotionally. I think he kind of needed a game.
I understand people making fun of Texas and the social media part of it. First of all, 12-year-old kids run these accounts. Okay, so once everybody just accepts that, that's what's going to happen. That is Arch being shit on nationally and locally and just feeling good about himself for a few hours.
And you know who needed to see that?
Even though I would agree, like, you guys are going to flex on, like, this
Sam
team.
Houston State, yes.
Right. I'm like, I totally get where that criticism is coming from, but I think everybody has to kind of understand, hey, can you imagine being that guy for a few weeks going from Heisman favorite? And, of course, ESPN used the mock draft that they could find him being the potential number 1 pick overall in 26 when they did a Texas broadcast, where I think consensus has been that he's not the number 1 pick.
Well, he's not in the 2026 draft. I've been trying to tell people since May. He's not in the 2026 draft. Like, I was down in Thibodeau.
Right.
Anyway. I think he needed to get that out emotionally. And I think finally people in his circle got to him and was like, hey, you're not Eli. You're not Peyton. And I'm not talking about talent. Like, you're a different cat. Your dad's the best kind of lunatic. He's like a stand-up comedian. He's hysterical. You've got, like, go be you, man. Go be a prick if you want to be a prick. Go let it out. And I think his teammates needed to see, like, it's all good. So I'm excited to see what comes up. But my goodness, we haven't had a Red River like legitimately like this in a while. Like, legitimately.
Can you give me, sorry, before we let you go, can you give me a minute on SC? Because they get up 20 against Michigan State. I don't think Michigan State's a terrible football team at all. Like,
I think they're the sleeping giant in all of this.
Who, SC?
Yes.
All right,
I think their defense is better. I don't think USC's defense is the caliber we're talking about with Miami, Ohio State, Georgia, even like Oklahoma. They're not Texas Tech. They're not that level. But they're turning the ball over and they're getting pressure. Okay. And that it's better than it was a year ago. But you go back and study Lincoln Riley, and everyone thinks of, Baker Mayfield and Kyler and Caleb and just flinging around the yard and all that. The reason why people were getting on their private jets, head coaches across the country and from NFL teams to go see Lincoln in Norman was the unique and physical schematic approach that they had to their run game that set up all the passing stuff. And I'm watching Mayava, and I'm watching him, and it's all the play action stuff. And I'm looking at that at Mayava, Jaden Mayava, and it's 12.7 yards per attempt, where everyone else in the country is like 7, 8, 9. And it's the 9 touchdowns, no interceptions, because they're like controlled. He's back to, Lincoln is, what made him special and what made Oklahoma special for a while there. And I'm watching the tandem at Wayman Johnson, Jordan, Eli Sanders, 693 yards, 7 yards per carry. This team, and I'm excited for this week. We'll see. You know, it's Illinois this week, right? For USC
at Illinois.
At Illinois. See
they
how
got
Illinois
3
responds.
ranked games. I mean, they've got at
but
Illinois.
It gets harder. Yeah. And then Washington's another one, man. Damon Williams leading the nation in QBR. They got Ohio State this week. Like those are two of them. Those are the 2 underrated teams in the Big Ten. But because of where they play and who they've played, nobody's talking about. But USC as a team, I think is going to surprise a lot of people down the stretch.
How about that? A little love for.
Yeah, you got me. You press the right buttons. That's why you are who you are.
Yeah, you know what? Did almost no SEC this week. So
by the way, I don't want to talk externals with you because we're just not what we do. But I don't care what's going on in your life, professionally and personally. I'd have to have like a bulldozer or like an excavator come and remove me from your house in day 3 of the NFL draft. I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah, there's a shoot here tonight that's not even anything with me. It's not a horn. Yeah, but it's.
But I'm just saying. So everyone's got all these questions and what's this and that. I will be there. I don't care. Like,
I may be downstairs this year.
No, you're not. Then we'll walk downstairs. All right.
You're the best, buddy. Talk to you soon. Todd McShay, The McShay Show. Make sure you check out their Saturday night recap. It is a must watch for college football fans. Thanks, Todd.
You want details? Fine. I drive a Ferrari 355 Cabriolet. What's up? I have a ridiculous house in the South Fork. I have every toy you can possibly imagine. And best of all, kids, I am liquid. So, now you know what's possible. Let me tell you what's required.
Life advice. Our email address, lifeadvicerr@gmail.com. We've got Cerruti and Kyle. What's good, guys?
Yo. What's happening?
All right.
It's St. John's for Kyle until further notice.
Yeah, I just been sort of, it's been happening now. I'm just kind of, I'll go to St. John's hat on Monday, maybe the Patriots hat on Wednesday, and I'll feel good enough to put the jersey on Sunday again. Well, at least that's the loss. Go through the motions thing.
That was a tough one. A lot of fumbles for your guys.
A lot of fumbles. Yeah. Yeah. Kind of wish I was in the house for that one, but I wasn't.
What's that mean?
I was just out and about, people who don't like watching Patriots win. So they were loving it. I wasn't. I had like one Patriots guy with me, and we were like, should we just pick a corner to stand in? Because I don't like all the energy that's floating around this bar right now. Every time there's a fumble, oh, there's another one. So it was like, it got rough towards the end.
That's funny. I probably got caught up in the Pats hate in the peak of the dynasty, but I don't really care about them anymore. In fact,
people love punching down.
I kind of like them now.
I think they like punching down more now than they ever did. I honestly, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of scars there. A lot of scars.
People don't forget. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about kids. Should I steer my 6-year-old away from hoops? Our guy just shared his name. I don't think it matters. 46 years old, 5'9", 160, pickup comp, Delhi. Great vibes, could help you win, but never the most talented guy on the court. Have you ever almost died playing basketball?
I was going to say, that's a lofty comparison for a guy who nearly gave his life for a championship.
I have a 6-year-old son who loves playing a wide variety of sports. He's been in a basketball league for the past year. We live in an affluent neighborhood where youth sports are already insane at his age. He's a decent player, but more Delhi than LeBron. But he loves it and says basketball is his favorite sport. I love watching him with his teammates. Here's the dilemma. He's just naturally very talented at hitting balls with a stick. Whether it's a baseball at the park or the driving range, he turns heads with how well he hits for his age. I'd love for him to play multiple organized sports, but we simply don't have the time. Both my wife and I work, and our daughter is in theater outside of school. Sounds like the way this kid's hitting stuff and likes basketball. It sounds like she was in theater, dude. Shit's busy. It feels crazy that I even have to think about this right now, but at some point, do I need to push him towards the sports where he's clearly more gifted?
Wow, as a selfish, not selfish, but like a selfish move would be not doing baseball because that's the most craziest travel sport, I would say, right? Unless your kid's like to the point in basketball where he's going to be jumping AAU teams every year and just trying to create super teams within the state or whatever. I just heard nightmares from baseball every year the kid gets older. So if we're talking about who's got time, I don't know if you have time to lean into baseball the way that it's currently happening in this country.
How old's the kid? Did he say? I forget.
6.
Oh man! All right. So I was gonna ask, like, if where's the end game here? Like, if he's 12 and you actually see a path to like a scholarship or something, okay.
That's the nice thing about baseball is that you got to fill those scholarships out, right? Golf.
But 6. I mean, at 6, like, I don't know. I think you just got to let the kid
He's a planner.
Be happy with whatever he wants to do the most. So, I mean, you probably just got to sit him down and say, hey, like, his calendar's filling up. We got a lot of things committed to. Like, which one do you like better? I would leave it up to him. I don't think you push a 6-year-old into a direction to pick a sport that early. I mean, he might be good now at 6, but like maybe he's like a little older than everybody else. Like I was one of the younger kids. Like I was born in November, so I was 4 when I started kindergarten, and there were dudes in the grade behind me that were older than me. And it's like, are you better than me, or are you just a year older than me in the grade below me? And that would always piss me off. So, I would say just let.
Sounds like it.
No, still haven't forgotten to this day. But
little guy,
but it's like annoying. It's like cool.
You
like,
guys want us to close
you
out?
Stayed back like on purpose so you could be better than me at sports. Sick, dude.
Sweet
really
mustache, dickhead.
So no, 6 years old seems insane. Let him do what he wants to do. Whatever he's having the most fun doing, let him do.
How good could he be at 6? Where like this is a real. And listen, I'm not saying like obviously no parent ever thinks their kid is ugly or not good or annoying or whatever. And I'm not saying that's what's happening here, but how good could he be at 6 where, is he just making contact with the tee really well? Like what? I'm just wondering like what kind of evidence does he have that like we need to really be like hammering down on this now?
They're calling him a young Tony Gwynn in the 6-year-old circles.
Right. That's what I mean. Like, just if like you just understand the concepts and you can hit that thing off the tee. I mean, I'm sure as a parent, you're like overjoyed. You're like, look at all these guys can't even make contact. Like, I would just wonder how good it actually is for 6.
Somebody comes up to him, he's like, what's his batting average with 2 strikes? And the dad's like, we may never know. I've got some evidence. Like, again, pushing any 6-year-old into any, like, they may not even know.
Yeah.
They don't,
he's not going to hate this for 2 more years. Like,
yeah, right. So if he loves basketball, I'd say, like, let him play basketball. I do think, like, at certain ages, parents, especially, like, with the first kid, they can kind of lose their minds about, like, the scholarship path.
Yeah.
I'm not saying everyone collectively should stop thinking that, but it wouldn't be the worst idea that you've ever had. I'm like, well, let's push him towards this because scholarship stuff. The fact that you're checking in at 5'9", 160, like where you could sit there and say basketball's probably not
in the genes.
Yeah. Like what's the wife clocking in at? We get some numbers there. Basketball's a sport that limits a lot of people that has, that's why whenever I walk by like a Steve Nash, I think, do you know how insane it is that this guy is who he is and did what he did? Anyway, that's just a Steve Nash aside. But yeah, I mean, we could do that. But if he's having that much more fun, it sounds like you maybe need to install a little bit of a home batting cage / driving range. So you're not traveling anywhere, right? Is there any way to do some netting,
that's great advice,
some piping? You just set it up, a little soft toss in the backyard, and then a little tee box for him. And maybe because you're not driving anywhere and it's always there, his passion shifts a little bit later on. And then you keep him in the one sport. Because you're totally right. Like it was tough on all sorts of generations having to pick up the kids and everything. And everybody as a new parent starts going like, was this what it was like? Like I remember a friend specifically, once he had a couple kids in youth sports, he was just like, I feel feel so guilty about how I treated my parents, knowing that they were driving me and my brothers around like this all the time.
A lot of times it was town league, though. I think. I mean, you're just kind of
So
like back in the day.
again.
In the day, were you guys leaving the county all the time? Like,
oh yeah,
really?
Oh yeah, baseball.
Oh.
I look back now and I'm like, I have 2 younger sisters, and I'm like, I'm sorry. Like you were going to like, multiple counties over, different states, just to like watch a mid kid play baseball. Like this is insane. Like I can't. Like I feel bad.
Mid-kid, wow.
I wasted so much time of everybody, and I didn't even like baseball that much. It was just weird. I just played it. I played fall ball, all that stuff. And then it was funny because once I got to high school, I was already playing football. And I was like, I don't really want to play baseball. I want to play golf. I want to have my semester be much easier. So I just ended up playing on the golf team for 4 years, and the baseball stuff didn't even matter. I'm like, damn, I really wasted a lot of people's time.
I feel like the Northeast weeds out a lot of baseball passion for high school kids.
Sure.
Like you just love it. You're playing it constantly. And then next thing you know, you're like, how cold is it? And that first fucking aluminum bat sting down your hands in a wet March game. And then no one's there.
Nice
Like
descriptor,
basketball, everybody shows up. Like football's once a week. It's cool. Like there's a coolness to being on the football team in high school. But I feel like baseball, there's guys that loved it and were good at it. And we're like, no thanks.
Feels like baseball. There's always that like one kid in your town that's really good, and it's like, oh man, like he can go. He got drafted in like the 60th round by the the Guardians or whatever, and then everybody else is just bad. Like there's always the one kid in town. We had that kid. Although Southington actually has a good baseball history. Shout out to Carl Pavano. Shout out to Rob Dibble.
Shout out.
But I think about that all the time with the baseball thing. So my daughter's 3, or she's about to be 3, and she started dance class for the first time.
7/8.
Yeah, kind of. She's got another month left. Her birthday's next month. But she, our goal is basically like dance class, don't cry. If she doesn't cry, she just like participates. Like that's a huge win. And she did. And she's only 3 years younger than this kid. So like, I just feel like at 6, you really can't make any rash judgments about what somebody's actually good at. Unless you're like Tiger Woods and you're going on like the Tonight Show. And clearly there's like a phenom thing there.
Yeah, I don't think we're there.
Sometimes not only these Baker Mayfield of the Eagles segments that I workshop in my head, I'll think like, what policy could you run on as president where everybody would go? Because I mean, right now it's a joke. Like it doesn't matter what one side does, the other side will go like, is that how you're going to do it? You're like, yeah, I don't know. This seems like a pretty high approval thing. Like I always wondered if you could just run on like one issue and just lower the price of airport water.
Okay.
Like, I don't. Foreign
that
affairs.
That was like the rent is too damn high guy.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, actually, rent is
that
too
guy
damn
swept
high.
the nation. Yeah, that guy swept the nation.
I'm not great with maps. Like if you try to get me in a debate and we're like, where's this? I'm not going to know where any of it is. Tax stuff, like whatever. Don't care. Like, let's just get the waters down. And so then I was thinking, could you come up with something like, hey, education may take a hit. We're going to raise taxes a bit. I'm not really going to pay a ton of attention to immigration. But what I need to do is I want to start subsidizing youth sports commuting.
Like,
would somebody say like well, actually,
what do you mean? How would
I think
work?
it would just be grifters that would be mad at you, like this. And this is every sport, baseball, basketball, soccer's a mess now. Like soccer's all paid for play. It's bullshit. And I feel like the only people that know that or that don't know that are like the grifters who are basically running these things.
Oh, they know it. I think they know it.
I'm not even talking about cost. Like, is there any way to be like, hey, do you have public transit only for kids in sports?
Oh, nice. Just a bunch of vans driving around, those big like Sprinter vans, just big enough for a youth baseball team.
I feel like the optics of the vans, you'd have to do.
We'll dress them up a little bit. Bright
like,
colors.
how's this work? You're like, oh, the strangers come by in a van and picks up everybody's kids.
Yeah.
Bright colors. I mean, obviously not dark
program.
windows. We'll get get those tints off the windows.
I think that's a wizard that they painted over. Okay. Who should we cut from our wedding? 5'10",
Yes,
170, no gym stats. Can do 100 push-ups in 5 to 10 minutes. It's pretty good.
That is.
Anybody try to do that recently?
No.
I know.
Kyle, will you try this week?
No.
100. Is that? I feel like 105 to 10 minutes. So 10 minutes, 100 push-ups, 10 a minute. Math.
I wonder how long it would take me.
Good math.
I wonder how long it would take me. I really do. Because I mean, I'm certainly not going to I wouldn't just bang it out. It's impossible. But like, I wonder how long it would take for someone to be like, that one counted. We're at 100. I really do wonder. if I get to take as many breaks, like not like I'll go watch TV or something, but if I was like, I'm just going to lay here on the ground for a few minutes and I'll get back to it, I do wonder what it would take.
Van Pelt used to do them in commercial breaks.
That seems like a great way to like keep the energy up, honestly.
Fucked his shoulder up pretty bad and then couldn't get an MRI for like ever.
That's crazy. Just come back, sitting a little bit to the left this time.
Basketball comp year 3, Darko Milicic. If you know, you know.
Wow.
Who should we cut from our wedding list? Background: my fiance and I are getting married in May of 26. Both grew up and went to college on the East Coast, but live in Portland, Oregon. Having the wedding here, met in Portland 1.5 years ago on Hinge. These guys are just fast tracking it. Good for them. Many mutual college friends, but don't remember ever crossing paths in college despite graduating in the same year. Oh, wow. That's kind of wild.
I think you should have had the wedding East, by the way. Just saying you got everyone that you're inviting is going to be from there, but whatever. It's your wedding. I guess you could be selfish.
Yeah, I think they can. The issue is we're facing a classic one. We have more people than we want to invite to the wedding that the venue will allow. The venue holds a maximum of 120 guests. After our initial list of guests we wanted to invite, we had 140 potential attendees. We still have not sent out any save the dates or wedding invitations, but have asked our friends and families for their mailing addresses. About 90% of our families still live in the East Coast. About 60% of our close friends do too. Furthermore, we pooled all the potential invitees into 3 confidence levels of how likely it is they will come: low, medium, or high. Wow. I love their organizational skills. Yeah. But after that initial pooling, we have 120 high medium invitees and 20 low confidence invitees. Seems pretty straightforward, right? Invite everyone. Surely 20 will say they cannot attend. The problem is that this is not a guarantee. And the last thing we want to do is retract invitations from anyone. Additional context: most of the low confidence guests are older extended family members. We don't think we'll want to travel across the country, but still, that's not a guarantee. You never know. Sometimes old people are like,
the last ride.
Yeah.
This is the last crusade.
Going wild.
What's the worst that could happen? Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't been to a wedding since 78.
Right.
You know, that's not a guarantee. One last twist: we realize we do have friends that we left off the initial list, including local ones that would surely attend our wedding. Realistically, we could extend the initial 140 guest list closer to 160. So what's the move? Invite all 140 and pray people say no? Only invite 120 and wait for anyone to decline? Then invite what is essentially the B team of guests? That just seems shitty. Invite all 140 guests, but include a caveat to the older family members on the East Coast. We could potentially send them all a note that we will be out east a few months after the wedding for a smaller reception for those that could make or that could not make the cross-country trip. Option 4, something else. Selfishly, we all want to send out invites to those who can't make it, so they might send a gift or cash instead.
Oof.
Any advice is appreciated. Thanks. And also, if you guys have any crazy, fun, or unique ideas from weddings you've attended, we're also very open.
I think you hear
I'll
that.
let you guys take this one. Yeah.
You hear that. you hear that 10% won't come. That did not happen for us. So you can't bank on that. I mean, what I would do is like, you said a lot of your
1%
families
that didn't come.
Yeah, it was you. But I think what you have to do is, since it's both families, start working your parents. You know, a lot of times parents want to be involved somehow, you know, or they might be the money people for this wedding. I don't know. But like, I think, see if anybody's dad or mom is interested in actually like quietly back channeling and seeing who definitely is not going to go, like great aunt Millie, talk to her kid and be like, do you know for sure she's not going to go? Like, we want to actually get these numbers, because you can't do the retraction thing. You shouldn't do the, you know, if they can't go, we'll let you know, all that stuff. I think because you're not doing it back east, like you want these people who you're inviting to be able to come if they can. So I'd say just try to go through the family, try to have one person on each side of the family who's going to make it like, it'd be really helpful for me at my wedding if you could just sort of figure out without explicitly saying to anyone, you're going to make the trip or whatever. Maybe they could even talk them out of going without actually doing it. Make it their own idea. Incept that. Like, yeah, it's a really tough time of year. Rainy over there in May.
Just send a check. Yeah.
Yeah. And they'll be back they'll be back in a couple months, and we want to actually, what if we could make this a really nice party? And then that person who's getting, disinvited can help with the party. But yeah, I'd say try to get some family members on the case so you can get those numbers to where they make sense to you.
That is a good idea. Most of my family's weddings now have become like mini family reunions too. So like people do like to go for the most part.
They will make it fit in their schedule.
Yeah. And then there's always like a meetup the day after. It's like, man, we're really making like the full weekend of this. But I think the other thing too is I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like you probably have to invite family first, right? Invite all the family first, see who doesn't come. But I don't think the B tier list thing is actually as offensive as some people think it is. Like I've been on the B tier end of some invites, and I have no problem with it. That's how life goes. You just kind of understand it. Like if you get upset about that, I feel like that's more on you than it is on the wedding people.
But
like they're already planning a wedding.
They pitch it to you as you're the like, hey, good news.
No, but we got
space
kind of know
for you now.
No, you just kind of know based on the date.
Okay.
Like I'm gonna be honest. Like, do you think we were A tier for Wargon's wedding?
I certainly wasn't.
I don't think I was either, and I wasn't even remotely offended by it. I couldn't go. I would have went, but I couldn't go. It was away that weekend. I don't care. I was happy I was invited to the wedding.
Yeah.
Couldn't go. Sent a check. Awesome. Wasn't offended. And like I think we would be B tier Wargon guest list at this point, right?
I might have been C, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah. Like
we should have been. I mean,
yeah.
And think about it. We didn't even really say goodbye to him. So,
yeah.
On top of everything else.
He did have a crossword at his wedding. If you want something wild and crazy, they handed out a crossword for just like facts about them or something. Or like it was Melissa and Mike themed crossword. So there you go. If you're looking for a funky thing to do.
How bad did you do on it?
Oh, it wasn't a crossword. It was a word search, actually, I think.
Oh, that's all right. Still
not as fun. I don't remember.
Especially when you thought it was a crossword. It must be.
Yeah,
really
I love a crossword, honestly. Fuck off.
Like, where are the clues, man?
Just a bunch of letters. What's going on here?
Anyway.
Yeah, I always think it's like tough when it's a work thing, and then there's kind of like this work dynamic. It's like I just started working with these guys, and like I just got engaged like during it, and now whatever. I kind of like the East Coast teaser, you know. Hey, we are going to come out and kind of do this, but thinking old people won't want to travel versus old people that are motivated to do something that has a purpose.
Yeah,
I think that number is going to be a little bit higher than you would think, and. Cerruti, the Italian part of him, I like that that's coming through there. It's like, look, family first, La Familia. So, you met some new guy at some brew pub in Portland, 8 months on the scene. He's a fucking A-tier guy. Like,
It sucks, though, because that guy's probably more fun, but you're just like, hey, this is kind of how it works. You got to invite who you got to invite. I mean, our wedding became like, partially a wedding for our parents too. Like my parents were inviting like their friends. It was just like, man, this is. But again, if they're footing most of the bill, it's like, what are you going to do? Like I'm not going to push back on that. But I think we had north of 200 people there. We had a good amount of ESPN people there though, other than you.
Cerruti and I know the deal for what happened there.
It is funny though, Ryan. You're right. Like people, they're thinking like, oh my God, like the great aunts. They're like, they're going to be so happy to like bow out of this and we'll see them in a couple months. Where in their head, they're like, they think they're going to rock your world by showing up and like leaving the state for the first time in 8 years or something.
That is actually pretty
like,
cool.
It's like it is cool, but it's the most opposite. You're thinking that this is going to be like a huge relief for them to say no. And they're like, I'm about to rock their world when I show up in Seattle or Portland or wherever that is.
Start banging out some Coldwater Creek.
Mm-hmm.
Just decked out head to toe, double knits. I don't think the B tier thing, you may not have to like, it doesn't have to say B tier on the invite, just stagger it out a little bit. And usually the good thing about older people is they RSVP really quickly.
Yeah. So the earlier you send it out, the better idea you'll have.
Yeah. I would look at it as almost like a medieval battle. 2 waves.
The vanguard.
Right. Like get that first out there early, see where you're at numbers wise, and then whatever.
Then the cavalry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you're going to hit some of our men.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what to tell you.
That's weddings,
Cost of doing business.
We have ancestors that lay claim to this territory. Yeah, they do too, though. Nope, doesn't matter. All right, that'll do it for the show today. Thanks to Cerruti. Thanks to Kyle. Thanks to Jonathan Frias. Ryen Russillo Podcast on the Spotify app and our YouTube page. And thanks for listening. Ryen Russillo Pod. Bring your Spotify.
They were going to name me Michael Jordan. My dad was like, I don't think he can live up to it. So they named me Michael Jared.
Must be 21 and older and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is there. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.